Today we are looking at what really happened in the Garden of Eden. Was Eve talking to a mere snake, to a mere animal? Were animals talking in the Garden of Eden? Some people have even asked, where was the husband when his wife is talking to this intelligent, crafty being? My brother and sister, they are in Eden. It is not surprising that Eve is talking to a divine being who had been in the presence of God. And we read Genesis 3 verse 1 following. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, did God really say, you shall not eat of any tree in the garden? And we know how the story unfolds. Eve with her husband, they listen to what this being is suggesting, and they disobey what Yahweh, the Creator, had told them to do. They go against what God commanded them to do. Eve is not literally, or is not talking to a snake. She is not speaking to an animal who is speaking here. She is speaking to a divine creature, a divine being. And this being had been in the presence of Yahweh. But now he chooses to oppose God's plan with humanity. He wants to disrupt the way God has made things with human family. He doesn't like the arrangement of God with his physical family, Adam and Eve. He does this because he's jealous. He's prideful. He wants to be the one in control. He wants to be the one in charge. He wants to be the one to be listened to by the human family and even by the divine family. For that reason, Isaiah the prophet says this about Isaiah 14 verse 12 to 14. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. Above the stars of God, I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Isaiah is saying this being who is in the garden of God in Eden wants to ascend above the clouds, above the throne of Yahweh. He wants to be the one in control of every business that God is doing. So how does he do that? He wants to make human family to believe what he's saying and not what God has said. Ezekiel 28 verse 12, he says, you were the signet of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. You were an anointed guardian cherub. I placed you. You were on the holy mountain of God. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created. True unrighteousness was found in you. Your heart was plowed because of your beauty. This is what Ezekiel is saying. He's echoing what Isaiah says about this very being. So how does he plan to distort, to disrupt God's plan with humanity? He prompts them to believe that God is hindering them from something better. He's persuading them to listen to what he's saying and not what God said to them. And this being does so, hoping that God would kill the human family or would chase them away from his presence forever, that they will never be in his presence again. He is hoping that God would do away with the human family forever. And when God acts with love, mercy, and with forgiveness, this being probably is very shocked, is very surprised that God has not killed the human family. For that reason, this being disguises himself as a serpent. So brothers and sisters, Eve was not talking to a mere animal, because animals were never talking. This being was a being that had been in the presence of God at one point, but now chooses to rebel against God's business and against God's plan with the human race. And he chooses to do that because he wants to be the one in charge, to be the one in control, to be the one listened to by both human family and the divine family of God. And that is exactly what happens in the Garden of Eden.